Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson here from ZeldaDungeon.net, and you are watching my video walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the Nintendo DS. In the last video we completed the ghost ship, and at the very end there we had a cutscene with Oshus in which he was explaining that in order to beat the game we pretty much have to defeat Bellum. So, our next objective is to figure out how to slay him, and so he recommended that we go seek out Zaz the blacksmith, who has on an island just north of the Isle of Gust. Now, I actually discovered this island a couple of videos back. I think I was looking for sunken treasure or something, and I got too close. But anyways, once you get close to the island, then you will discover it, and you'll be able to see it on your map. So you could have actually gone to Zaza's island significantly earlier, but there wasn't really much we could do there at the time. Once you get there, though, there's a couple things we can grab real quick. So if you look to the far north, there's actually a stone tablet that gives you a clue about what to do next. There is some tiles on the ground, and if you make marks of them on your map, then you can actually draw a line between them, and the lines will actually intersect and make an X on the ground to the south. So if you follow those and go to the X, you'll see that there's actually a place where you can dig up a map that leads to a ship part. There's also a bunch of cuckoos here at the middle, so you can grab some of them and use them to reach the platform off to the far right, and open the chest here to get a wisdom gem. That is all the goodies here on this island, so with that, just go ahead and enter his hut and talk with Zaz. Alright, at this point you can check out the little map on his wall over the symbol there, and this is a new symbol for that red door inside the Temple of the Ocean King. Now this is a Triforce, and it's a little bit tricky to draw, but not too bad. The big thing to know about it actually is just the starting point. You have to start at the top middle and then work your way towards the bottom left, and you have to start the symbol that way, otherwise it will not work. That's all we had to do here, so work your way back to the ship and then go back to Merkay Island. Along the way, you will get a letter in the mail from Linebeck, and this is him just thanking you for traveling with him, and he's starting to warm up to you a little bit, but he'll give you a random ship part as well. Now, this is actually a pretty high quality one, so it is worth a pretty decent amount of rupees as well. Welcome to the fourth section of the Temple of the Ocean King, and as soon as you go down to the first floor, you will see there is a new enemy here. The regular phantoms on this floor have been replaced with swift phantoms. Swift phantoms move faster, as their name would imply, but they also will pick up items. So if you leave a force gem on the ground, or you leave a key nearby, or like say like there's that key to the top left, if you open that door and that phantom goes north and sees it, then it will go pick it up. Now this particular one is actually in the safe zone, so it can't see it. It's invisible to that phantom. But if it was out in the open on regular ground, a phantom can actually go and pick it up. Now if that happens, you need to get it out of the phantom's clutches, and you can do this by killing the phantom, by luring it to a hole. You can smack it from behind using your sword or the boomerang, which is probably the safest method. Otherwise, you can actually shoot them in the back with your bow. Shooting a phantom in the back with your bow will actually stun them for a while, which is a very useful tactic, and you can totally just run past phantoms after that. So if you can get a good shot at a phantom's back, you can stun them and then run past them. So just bear that in mind. Continue on to the north, use your bombs to blow up the cracked blocks, stand on the little floor switch, and go get the small key, and then head towards the door. On this floor, you want to hit the crystal switches here to make the small key appear, and as long as you're doing that, go ahead and blow out the wall at the bottom right. Now, as long as you're pulling this phantom back, you could pull the lever that is behind the phantom to make the flames go down on the left, and that would be one way to get over to the door on the left. So you can either take the flame route, or you can use the colored blocks to the south. I usually use the colored blocks to the south, but whatever you want to do. Now, if you accidentally get the Swift Phantom investigating somewhere around here, it could actually see the small key on the floor there to the left, and it will actually grab it. So you might have to use the boomerang or the bow to smack the Phantom and get the key from it. I didn't mean it, I swear. So fun fact though, did you know that jars can interrupt Phantom's attacking animations? Because I didn't know that. Wow! Don't try this at home, kids. But in all seriousness, I was laughing so hard. I cannot believe that I made it out of that situation alive. But it's cool to know that you can interrupt phantoms with jars. Like, you can do that with the boomerang and stuff too when they're doing certain animations. But yeah, that's cool. So if you find yourself in a scary situation, totally run and throw the jar at the phantom. On this floor, you don't have to go get the red jar first. I just like to get a safe zone here in the middle as soon as possible. But the other reason for this is so I can get the small key from the Phantom. Now, as you notice though, with the Swift Phantom, he can totally chase after me really fast, so you don't get a lot of time to, a lot of forgiveness here in case you screw up. Now, this Phantom, here's another way you can deal with this. Now, before I showed how you can use the boomerang to get the small key from the Phantom, but you can also use the bow, which stuns Phantoms for a long time. So you can use either method. You can smack it with your sword, you can hit it with the boomerang, or you can use your bow. Now, if you do not pick up the small key very quickly, then it will actually make the Phantom, he'll pick up the key that's lying on the ground. So these Phantoms will always pick up force gems and keys from now on. So just be aware of that. Continue working your way over to the right and get the force gem. So generally speaking, it is good to go ahead and get all the yellow jars whenever you can. Like, each one of those adds up significantly, so if you're getting all of them, you actually don't lose hardly any time at all, assuming that you don't get hit by phantoms anyways. As long as you're kind of hanging out in safe zones whenever you're just like pausing to assess the situation and strategize, you don't actually lose a lot of time. Something else that I forgot to do when I was on that upper platform killing the phantom, you want to shoot the eye switch to the north, and this will make a chest appear containing a power gem. Now, I was actually debating about going to the bottom left. Now that I have the key, I could go ahead and get that force gem and then like get the force gem and the power gem at the same time, like, so I'm doing both those things in the same area. However, I ended up deciding that I wanted to go to the north because that phantom was in a very nice position, so I wanted to sneak past it. Whenever you get to one of these safe rooms, there's always a yellow jar here, so make sure you grab that before you continue on. So now that we have the bow, you can go off to the right and there's actually an eye switch in the top right corner, which will put out all of the air gusts at the same time, so you don't have to hit all these crystal switches all over the place. Continue on to the bottom left, there is actually a yellow jar that will reduce your time even further, which is very handy. Now, the very first time that you kill all the phantom eyes on this floor, a chest will appear containing treasure or a ship part. I can't remember which one. Regardless, it has something good. So I actually killed them all the last time I was here, so it doesn't matter. I think I am going to kill the phantom eyes here if I remember correctly for my recording, but that's just because, just to deal with them so I don't have to worry about it after that. Now you'll notice I'm bringing this red jar over here to the right, and that is so I have a nice safe zone I can run to, and that way when I have these explosions I don't have to worry about the phantom coming and seeing me. This little room off to the left will lower these spikes. Now, you'll notice I got seen by the phantom, but I don't care because I'm trying to kill this phantom eye to the south anyways. So I'm going to use the boomerang, and by the time that all flies out and everything, that phantom's already going to be going back a different direction anyway. So use the soft soil location to the south to get up on this platform, and that way you can reach this other yellow jar that's on the upper ledge up above us. So one interesting thing about the Temple of the Ocean King is that as you collect more items, you can create more shortcuts to get through the floors, and they allow you to do some interesting things. Now, the Fallen Adventurers, these skeletons that are all scattered throughout this dungeon, they have various tips too, and they'll give you tips about items as you acquire them. So as you keep getting items, like now that we have the bow, if you keep talking to these Fallen Adventurers, they'll occasionally tell you something new. Grab the small key, then work your way to the locked door. This one floor down, there is actually an ice switch just to the right that will put out all of these spikes at once. Continue on to the right, and there is actually a bunch of jars that you can use to replenish your stuff. Now that we have the bow, you can also get arrows here, as well as filling up on bombs. The enemies up ahead are actually different than the last time we were here, and they require arrows, so you want to just go ahead and spam them like crazy. If you were following along with me, you should have 2 quiver upgrades actually, so being able to hold 50 arrows makes this way easier, but just spam the arrows like crazy. Part of our goal is to get through this as soon as possible, so just kill the enemies really quickly, and then continue onward. Before you leave though, for each one of these areas, make sure that you grab the yellow jar in the alcove, because it will increase your time. Up ahead, there is a crystal switch off to the right, and when you hit it, it makes a chest appear. Interestingly enough, this is a chest that appears every time that you enter the Temple of the Ocean King, so if you ever come back to this floor, you can always use this to get some free money. What it gives you is a red potion, which is worth 60. Otherwise, if you're full on potions, it gives you a big green rupee, which is worth 100. Now, the big green rupee is, of course, worth more, and in fact, it's more worthwhile to even get that, and you can always go drink your red potion and then buy a purple potion for 80. And so that's just a better value overall. So if you have anyways, that's just the best way to go. On the next floor, you want to kill the Phantom Eye to the far right. Just use your boomerang to attack it around the corner. Then proceed off to the left, and there is actually an ice switch here in this upper alcove. So shoot that with your bow. This will create a chest in the corner that contains a treasure map. Now, most of these treasure maps lead to ship parts. This particular one actually leads to Sand of Hours. So this will, if you get this, it will actually lead to 1 more minute added to your Phantom Hourglass. And I actually think those are one of the most useful upgrades in the game. So if you're just going to ignore most of the sunken treasure, at least get that one would be my recommendation, because it's super awesome. That's pretty much everything that we wanted to do on this floor, but there is one more optional thing you can do. You want to work your way towards the door. I stepped on the floor switch to get rid of the gust there. You can actually hit these phantoms in the back too to stun them as well, so if you want to sneak past them, that's another way of doing that. I'm actually going to kill these phantom eyes because if you kill all of them, then it reveals this yellow jar in the corner. So go ahead and grab that, and this will reduce your time by another 30 seconds, or increase your time, I should say. So which is kind of nice. Like, that's actually a pretty decent upgrade. It didn't take us very long to get that, so like if you look at my time, I've only lost like a little less than a minute. I've lost 53 seconds. And at this point, we actually just need to use the next symbol. However, one little trick you can do, actually, is you can go back in the door that we went in last time. This was the symbol where we found where the sun key was. So this doesn't matter, we don't need to do this anymore. However, there is a yellow jar in here too, so if you can grab that, you can optionally go into the blue portal, but we obviously don't want to do that. Exit the door, and now you can redraw the symbol to whatever you want. Now if you remember back from Zaza's Island, the shape that we want to draw is actually a Triforce. But you have to start in the top middle, and then work your way to the bottom left. Now I actually canceled out of this because I thought to myself, you know, I should write this on my map, so I'm going to do that real quick. And again, I'm going to make myself a little symbol that indicates that it's drawn from the top middle down to the bottom left. And that's the direction that we want to go. So yeah, you don't have to use the hourglass symbol on that door to get that 30 seconds. However, it does add up, especially because as soon as you enter this next room, we actually create a yellow portal. And what you want to do is you want to actually step into the portal to save your progress. How the yellow portals work, they're different from blue portals. It's sort of weird. Like, blue portals in dungeons will take you back and forth from the entrance to the boss room, and you can use them either way. But in the Temple of the Ocean King, blue portals only take you back to the beginning. Kind of. Most regular blue portals take you back to the beginning, and they don't take you back the other way. There's actually a blue portal at the very end of the dungeon that takes you straight to the last boss, but that's, of course, sort of an exception, which is kind of weird. I wish they made that a different color, too. Anyways, in this room, you get a yellow portal, and yellow portals in the Temple of the Ocean King, anyways, allow you to teleport back and forth from the entrance also to this room. So you can teleport to this room immediately from from here on out. But one stipulation of that is you need to step into the yellow portal to save your current time progress. So it's kind of a weird thing. So you want to step into this yellow portal on purpose to actually save your progress. So do that, and as you'll notice, like, it will say that it took me 23 seconds to get here because of all the yellow jars I've been getting along the way. So collecting yellow jars and moving through the Temple of the Ocean King efficiently for those first few floors will allow you to save the most amount of time possible when you're using this portal. There's also some soft soil in the corner which you can use to reach these jars. They have hearts and stuff, but they also have bombs and arrows. So if you're going to the Temple of the Ocean King and you're kind of low on those, then it's very handy to use those. You got to use the boomerang on the right side to do that. So make sure you save at this yellow portal, then go ahead and open the next door. Alright, so these floors are where things get real. You want to step on the floating platform, and up ahead we have some arrow traps on the walls. You can smack them with your sword to deal with them, or you can just bonk into them with your shield. The shield thing kind of pushes you backwards, meanwhile the sword makes you walk forward. Both methods can knock you off the platform, just be careful. Up ahead we have this fallen adventurer that will immediately talk to us and explains that we are now standing on waking water. Waking water will make noise when you move too quickly, so what you want to do is walk really slowly to not make noise. Now that's only important when a phantom is nearby though, so if there's no phantoms close, you can totally just run full speed. So here I'm standing in the top left corner, I'm waiting for that phantom to the south to get a little bit lower, and then I'll make a run for the southern safe zone. So up ahead they are expecting you to walk really slowly here so that you don't alert the phantom. I actually ran on there on purpose so that I could show how the phantom is coming to investigate. So that's how that mechanic works. You need to sneak up slowly on the phantom. So here, for example, I'm going to walk off to the right, but I'm going to walk nice and slow at first. Once I'm far enough away from the phantom though, I start running, so because it doesn't matter anymore. Go talk to the fallen adventurer if you want to. This one gives you a clue about what you need to do on this floor. It says that one of the phantoms will patrol out onto the abyss, and it actually just walks on thin air. So you want to keep track of that and then make notes of it on your map so that you can see where you need to walk. So I'm actually going to stand here in the safe zone and just watch this phantom, and then as it walks across this, I'm going to go ahead and mark my map with the location of where this secret bridge is. It's invisible, you cannot see it, so just like watch your map when you're running across it so that you can know where you're standing so that you walk in the right place. As usual, you do want to slow down when you're on waking water if there's a phantom nearby, although we do have this safe zone right here, so even if he did turn around, it probably would have been fine. I could have just made a run for it, even if I made noise. Continue on to the north, and here we actually have a red jar. Now, one thing to know about red jars, if you toss them down and you don't like their placement, you can totally just go down a floor and then come back again, and this will reset the room, and so you can place that red jar again. So don't worry about it too much if you break it on accident or you throw it in the wrong place, but I have a very specific place that'd be very handy to place the red jar for this room. Now, to get past this phantom, I actually am just hiding behind this wall and then sneaking past it. Unfortunately, I am using up precious seconds doing this, but it's okay. Like, I have way more than enough time, and I'd rather do that than do something risky and potentially have the phantom come after me. So I highly recommend you put this safe zone right here over to the left, and this makes this next puzzle significantly easier because even if a phantom does chase you after you, you can just run back to the safe zone and you're fine. Continue on to the south. Now you can either do this next part from the right side, or you can use the left side. I think the left side is significantly easier. I actually accidentally got seen by this phantom, but that's okay, there's a safe zone here. What we're trying to do is hit the crystal switch behind the phantom, and there's two ways to do this. You can use the boomerang, you can either do this from the north side or the west side. Otherwise, you can also use your bow, and this is what the fallen adventurer was talking about just a little bit ago, is that you can smack phantoms in the back with the bow, and it will stun them for a very long time. So you can do this and get the crystal switch behind. I'm using the bow to give me the most amount of time possible. Otherwise, I could also use a bomb, which might be smarter actually. If you stun the phantom with the bow, and then use a bomb, you should have the most amount of time possible. Continue on to the north, and I'm using that safe zone here in case that phantom comes after me, but also to pause time or whatever. It's just nice. It just feels a lot safer. So you'll notice that for that puzzle, I waited until the Swift Phantom was in the top right before I even started. As he was walking away from me, that's when I ran over and started dealing with the stuff on the far south. Continue on to the left once you finally get past those moving platforms and hit the yellow jar to get some extra time, then open the chest to get the round crystal. Our objective here is to take the round crystal one floor down, but we can't use the door on the top right, so instead we need to use the one in the bottom right instead. You can also leave the round crystal in safe zones, and the phantoms will not come and pick them up. If they do, you have to hit them with the bow or something, or the boomerang or whatever. Go ahead and stand on this peg, and you can actually shoot the crystal switch. This creates a chest that contains a power gem. After that, we need to work our way south using the taking the round crystal with us. I'm waiting for this patrolling phantom is why I did all this in this order. So go ahead and grab that real quick, and then I'm going to go grab the round crystal and follow behind the phantom. So if you have to toss on the gem, then a swift phantom anyways will pick it up. Regular phantoms don't, but the swift phantoms will pick up gems and keys. So if you have to throw it down, then it could be a problem. Now, what I was showing here is you could alternatively just shoot the phantom in the back to stun it, and then you can sneak past it. So I just did that to get through there a little bit faster. I'm going to continue on to the left, and what we need to do is bring the round crystal to the top left corner. Alright, so this is where things get fairly confusing. You want to go off to the right, and there is a round pedestal, so place the round crystal there. This lowers the spikes temporarily as long as the crystal is there, and then you can step on this floor switch to make a permanent way to get past this wall. So you don't even need the round crystal in that switch anymore. However, leave it there. Super important. I will explain why in a little while. So go down a floor, you can open up this chest to get a triangle crystal, and then Ciela also points out that there's a square pedestal as well. Oh my goodness, so many shapes in just such a short period of time. Those are all important. We actually need to take the triangle crystal with us though, but make sure that you leave the circle crystal inside the circle pedestal. Continue on, there's actually a yellow jar over here to the top left, so I'm going to grab that real quick. Unfortunately, we move slower while holding the crystals, so I can't really make a run for it, but you can hide behind these walls too and wait for the vision cone to pass by of the phantom. Otherwise, probably the most efficient thing, honestly, is just to hang out in that safe zone and then shoot the phantom in the back with an arrow so I can just run past. That would probably be the most efficient thing overall. Otherwise, you can wait for that phantom to go to the far bottom right and then get the round crystal then. Now I'm going to go ahead and get on this air geyser to stand up here and get this yellow jar. You don't have to do this right now, we can do it now or later, but one comment I have to make though is leave the round crystal there for now. Don't take it out of there. This will make sense in a little bit. So once you get a good opportunity, take the crystal to the far top right corner, and there's actually a red jar here, which is very handy. I like to put it over here because you want to use your bombs and stuff here, and if that phantom hears you and stuff, it will come and investigate, and that can be a problem. I'm actually going to make a run over there with the triangle crystal, so even if that phantom sees me, I have a safe place I can go to. Placing the triangle crystal in the pedestal will lower the spikes just below us, which gains us access to this crystal switch, which will open the door to the top right. So we're going to do that, and we're going to head there in just a little bit. Now, when you place the triangle crystal and the round crystal are in their pedestals at the same time, this will create a chest off to the left up on this invisible platform, so we can walk out onto that. Now, the thing you want to watch out for is the trickiest part about this is actually the phantom. You want to wait until the phantom is just starting to go right and then quickly make a run for it, and you should have more than enough time to sneak past it. But if it's already coming back to the left, you won't have enough time, and it will actually see you out on this platform and come smack you. So it's actually very difficult to avoid. So instead, I recommend you'll see that I have more than enough time doing it this way, but it's actually pretty risky if you do it at any other time. This phantom actually has a misleadingly small patrol route. Alternatively, I guess you could have moved that safe zone a little bit further north, or maybe even in the Waking Water, and that would make it a little easier to run from the phantom if you need to. Grab the triangle crystal and go down the stairs, and real quick before we move on, I'm going to show an alternative way to do that puzzle as well. So if you grab this safe zone over here and then place it over here next to the geyser, this allows you to hang out here with the triangle crystal and wait for the good timing. What we're waiting for is that phantom in the top right to be over in the very top left of the map. When he's over there, you can make a run for it with the triangle crystal, jump onto the invisible platform to make a shortcut to go here right away. The timing on this is a little awkward, but that's the timing, is you have to wait for that phantom to be in the top left. Unfortunately, if another phantom sees you while you're doing that, it ruins this whole thing because all of them will come and investigate, and it screws up the timing big time. Now, one other quick trick I want to show you is you can actually kill phantoms pretty easily if you have a safe zone right next to an abyss. You can shoot them in the back with an arrow optionally to give them a really long stun. Otherwise, just stabbing in the back will stun them as well. But if you repeatedly stab them in the back, you can actually knock them off ledges, which is actually pretty cheap. So if you have a safe zone like one of those jar ones, you can actually lure all the phantoms to a ledge, and then you can kill all of them really quickly. As soon as you reach this floor, you'll see a fallen adventurer that calls out to you and says that there's an enemy on this floor that makes your hourglass powerless. And he's referring to the Wizrobes here. There's one in each corner, and what they do is they work similar to boos from the Super Mario series. When you're facing towards them, they're invisible. When your back is turned, they'll chase after you, and they look like skulls on your map so you can see where they are. The best way to deal with them is to face away from them and then use a well-timed spin attack. Now, if you mess up, they will smack you and remove 15 seconds from your hourglass, which is pretty horrible. But when defeated, they do drop 30 seconds, so that's nice. To the far south, there is an arrow orb that you can rotate with your boomerang and then shoot it while facing down to make it hit the eyeball. This will lower some spikes off to the left, which is very handy. The phantoms, you can kill them here in a little bit, but otherwise you can use the arrows to stun them to get the square crystal. Now I'm actually going to go place it in a safe zone so that I don't have to go grab it again. So hitting that eye switch lowered the spikes over here on the left, and this is a trap that I can use to kill the phantom. And killing the phantom is not required. One of the main reasons to doing that is just to get the square crystal, which I already have. I just want to kill him, but also to show that this is how you can use it. Now, I was trying to distract the Phantom or like make it chase after me, but it kind of screwed it up, and then he continued on his patrol. He literally went about as far out of his way as he possibly could, so this is the exact opposite of what I wanted, so that did not work out in my favor. What I should have done in hindsight is I should have just like used the boomerang on the wall. Like I could have like even drawn a path like south and then to the right and then up and then smacked against the wall. The Phantom would have investigated, he would have walked closer, then he would have just continued with his regular route, and that would have been fine. Alright, so that's what I was trying to do in the first place. This is the other way you can get the square crystal. Now, once you've defeated all of the phantoms on the floor, on any floor, it creates a chest that gives you treasure. Now, in this case, it gives a ship part. And it gives you more rare ship parts the deeper into the temple you go. So this one's actually worth 800. So it's one of the more valuable ones, but not the super valuable ones. The really, really valuable ship parts are on the last floors of the temple. So we don't actually even have access to those yet, but that is a nice thing. You can use this red jar in the top left corner as well, and it's actually a very handy thing. If you grab that ahead of time, you can actually bring that to the middle, and that gives you a very nice place where you can run back with the Phantom. So the first time you defeat all of the Wizrobes on this floor, it will create a chest that has a Wisdom Gem. Next, you want to go ahead and grab that square crystal, and we can use it to put out the flames in the top left. So now that we have this shortcut, you can actually go up a floor and we can reach the round crystal. Now, unfortunately, it is on the southern side, and having the crystal in the pedestal will keep the spikes down, so you kind of need it there, except that because we stepped on that floor switch, we now have the air geyser. So you can step into the air geyser and then use it to reach the upper platform. The other way you can do this technically is you can walk the long way. Once you've opened up that door in the top right, you can just go down that doorway as well. However, one of the weird things that happens is people who have played the Temple of the Ocean King before, or might have even just figured this out, you can use the air geyser to bring the round crystal over to this top corner, and then they put it down a floor. And the problem with that is if you do that preemptively, then you make it so that the round crystal is not in its pedestal, so that you cannot get that courage gem from that chest that's on the invisible platform, because in order to make that appear, you need both the round crystal and the triangle crystal in the pedestals at the same time. Now, I don't know if they're just assuming that most people aren't preemptively moving the round crystal, but I actually looked online and I looked at several different guides. I could not find a single person explaining that you needed both pedestals to be full of their correct crystal. Everywhere I looked, everybody only talked about the triangle one. They didn't talk about the round crystal at all. So maybe they just assume people leave the round crystal in the pedestal, or I don't know. I don't understand, but whatever. I consider that a grave mistake, because if somebody is struggling with that, then they don't know what to do. And then they search online and there is no answer. But that is the correct answer. You need both the round crystal and the triangle crystal placed at the same time. If you move the round crystal early, you'll screw up getting the courage gem. I mean, you can do it. It just requires a little more backtracking to fix it. So with all the enemies defeated, go ahead and grab all of the crystals and place them in the pedestals. This will open the door forward, so continue on in there, and there is a fallen adventurer here that tells you that actually if you place the crystals in a different order, you can progress to the next floor of the Temple of the Ocean King. How interesting. Continue on up the platform, there is a yellow jar that will increase your time by 30 seconds, then open the chest to get the Southeastern Sea Chart. This will allow us to progress to the next area, and that's all we came for. However, you can continue with the Temple of the Ocean King. So Ciela points that out and says, hey, well, you can just either step into the blue portal and leave the Temple of the Ocean King, or you can continue on with the temple and do more floors and get another whole sea chart right now. Which is actually, if you can manage it, is super worthwhile. Now, it kind of depends on how much time you have. Now, as you've noticed, though, I haven't used very much time at all. So I totally have enough time to do it myself. Go ahead and write on your map the order that the skeleton told us about, which is square, round, triangle. So, you can place the crystals in that order, then go north of screen and south of screen, and actually all the rooms shift around, and you're able to move on to the final floors of the Temple of the Ocean King. So you can do that if you want to, and this will actually allow you to get the Northeastern Sea Chart. So you can get both sea charts at the same time, which is crazy. And it allows you to move on to the final sections of the game, and you can actually do like the last dungeon right now, which is actually pretty crazy. So if you do that, it actually makes you significantly more powerful and does a lot of cool things for you. But this particular section of the Temple of the Ocean King is the hardest, especially because you're missing a lot of dungeon items that they expect you to have. The other thing that's sort of tricky about that is you just don't have as much time. Like, there's more sunken treasure that gives Sand of Hours, but also you get 2 minutes of Sand of Hours from completing bosses in dungeons. So because there's a couple dungeons in between when they expect you to do these floors, that means you would have, there's 4 minutes that I currently don't have. So if you have more than enough time, like I totally do, I'm at 12 minutes, like I got tons of time for me. So I could totally do this, and I'm confident in whatever. But if you want that challenge, then go for it. It's awesome, and it's super beneficial, actually. But I'm actually going to leave just for the traditional like walkthrough order. The traditional Phantom Hourglass order is what I'm going to do instead. So if you want to do those and you want to tackle it early, you can refer to my future videos for the later floors of the Temple of the Ocean King and try that. So by the way, all of the fallen adventurers in the Temple of the Ocean King will steadily change their advice as you collect more items, so that's cool. That's the end of this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Follow both Zelda Dungeon and myself on YouTube, other socials, etc. As always, you're awesome, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.